What up guys, Fojo here, and today I'm bringing to you another New World video. This one will be specifically over Greatsword drops and the best ones to go after in the game right now, and some crafted weapons as well. To start off with, we are going to be using Torrent. Torrent is a drop from the Leviathan of the Deep in Mines. Leviathan of the Deep is not too difficult to fight. As long as you have a decent little group there, you can fight him. There is also a way to solo him, but using a group will be much easier and probably quicker as well. But Torrent will drop with 29 dexterity, refreshing move, light and heavy attacks reduce your active weapon cooldowns by 2.8%. Leeching Crosscut, the final strike of Crosscut heals you for 70% of the damage dealt. Refreshing reduces max cooldowns by 2.8%, giving this weapon a pretty decent group of perks and not too difficult of a mob to take on with a group. Now up next we have the Tough Times. And now Tough Times will be dropping in Genesis from either Taxodius, Taxi, or Otis. This will give you multiple chances to get the drop from within the dungeon one run through. So Tough Times will be dropping with 29 dexterity, thwarting strikes deal 11% additional damage while you have active crit, keen plus 11% critical chance, and refreshing move, light and heavy attacks reduce your active weapon cooldowns by 2.8%, giving this weapon a pretty decent set of perks as well, and a lot more chances to get the drop running through a dungeon. And with Genesis not being too difficult of a dungeon and pretty easy to run through, you'll have some good chances at getting this weapon as well. After that we have Dismemberment. And now Dismemberment is going to be a crafted Greatsword and will be crafted at a 590. We'll craft with 29 strength, trenchant crits, fully charged heavy attacks deal 29% additional crit damage, keenly jagged on crit cause bleed that deals 10% weapon damage per second for 6 seconds, and keen plus 11% critical chance, making this a very easy one to get being crafted. So as long as you have the weaponsmith level to craft this, it is a decent option. Following that, we have the Corrupted Cratermaker, and the Corrupted Cratermaker will be coming from Archmage Devocus, which is a difficult mob to farm without a large group because of how difficult and how much health there is. But if you run through there on the train or world tour, you have at least a shot at getting this weapon, and sometimes a group will form up there and you can get a shot at farming this sword along with a few other weapons that are there. But the Corrupted Cratermaker will be dropping with 29 strength, vicious plus 11% critical damage, keen plus 11% critical chance, and a life stealing. Gain 4.9% of your damage as health. So this is a nice one because it has both vicious and keen on it, as well as life stealing to give you a little bonus of healing while you're at it, which is always nice to have on a weapon. After that we have the Berserker Sword, which is going to be dropped by Vrog in the Tempest Hard dungeon. In the cellar is where you can find him. Vrog is not too difficult to beat. One of the many mobs you fight on your way through Tempest, and probably one of the easier ones to fight in general. Going through Tempest is pretty common. Generally people need a few pieces of gear through there, so getting this sword shouldn't be too difficult of a task. But the Berserker Sword will drop with 29 strength, vicious, plus 11% critical damage, refreshing move, light and heavy attacks reduce your active weapon cooldowns by 2.8%, and keen plus 11% critical chance, making this a pretty decent weapon and should do some decent damage as well. Next we have the Bloodsucker Sword, and now the Bloodsucker Sword is going to drop from Red Claw, which is only a level 54, located in Ebonscale Reach in a small group of ruins. Is a very farmable mob, very easy to do and very repeatable. The only problem is it could take a little bit of time for you to get this drop. It is not the quickest drop to get all the time and has a much lower drop rate than the rest of the items on Red Claw. But when you do get it, it will drop at a 29 strength. Leeching Crosscut, the final strike of Crosscut heals you for 70% of the damage dealt. Enchanted, light and heavy attacks deal 9.5% more damage, and life stealing you gain 4.9% of your damage as health. Now, this is one that is fairly easy to get and it does a lot of healing for you, so it is a good choice to run a solo and will be able to heal you when you're in some bad spots. It just may take a little bit of time to farm up. After that we have Hybris or Hybris. It's going to be dropping in the Starstone Barrows mutated version, and it is going to be a dungeon drop, so it can drop from a lot of the different mobs within the dungeon and give you a lot of chances at getting this. And so this is a great option if mutated Barrows is up at the time, because this will do a lot of healing for you in your solo runs as well. And now Hybris will be dropping with 29 strength, refreshing move, light and heavy attacks reduce your active weapon cooldowns by 2.8%. Plague strikes, heavy attacks against targets inflict disease for 8 seconds, reducing healing effectiveness on the target by 23%. And trenchant recovery, Fully charged heavy attacks heal the player for 39% of damage dealt. And now this perk right here is exactly why a lot of people would farm this up and utilize this for their solo running throughout the world. Because of the Trenchant Recovery, you gain a ton of health back. Swinging with a Greatsword with heavy hits is generally the way to go about doing so, and healing for 39% of that is a lot of health back every time, negating a lot of the damage incoming to you, which is why it's a top choice in this list. You can also craft it if you have the materia to do so, but will take quite a bit to do that. Now after that we have Rough Edge. Now Rough Edge is another crafted Greatsword and will be crafted at 30 dexterity, vicious plus 11% critical damage, keenly jagged on crit cause bleed that deals 10% weapon damage per second for 6 seconds, and keen plus 11% critical chance. This is a great option for Greatsword. It crafts at a 600 automatically, so you'll have that at 600. The materials to build it are not too expensive and will give you a lot of good perks. Real quick, I'm going to hit a few options for Greatswords with Bane. That way you have an option for those if you want to look for those as well. And our first option will be Flint. Flint is going to be a crafted blade as well. It will be made with 29 strength, Angry with Bane, plus 14% damage to Angry Earth. Chainfire. Basic attack hits trigger a fire chain that bounces between close targets and deals 15% weapon damage. Vicious plus 11% critical damage, making this a pretty decent weapon to fight Angry Earth or take into Genesis. And for our Corrupted Bane, we are going to choose Knife of God. And Knife of God will be dropped by Tribune Ursula, the Gladiatrix. I chose this Corrupted Bane sword because it makes it a little easier to farm up and has some decent perks on it as well. Knife of God will give you 29 dexterity, Corrupted Bane plus 14% damage to Corrupted, keenly empowered on critical gain 15% of power for 5 seconds, and Trenchant Rend, fully charged heavy attacks inflict rend for 7 seconds, reducing target's damage absorption by 14%. Now up next for our Ancient Bane weapon, we have the Sword of Strength, and the Sword of Strength you will be getting from Pit Lord Dehi, which is a great mob to farm anyways. He also drops the Corrupted Totem, so you have a chance at getting that as well. And so the Sword of Strength will be dropping at 29 strength. It also has Ancient Bane, plus 14% damage to Ancients. Shirking Lightning, dodging through an enemy attack causes your next hit within 6 seconds to deal an additional 38% base weapon damage as lightning, and Keen, plus 11% critical chance. Now this is a fairly easy drop to farm up. There's always a group at Pit Lord Dehi, so you shouldn't have a problem killing him at all, and should be able to get this within a decent amount of time. And now for our next weapon we have Spiritpath, which will be dropping from the Disciple of Disorder, which is in Mirkgard, and will be through on those normal trains and world tours, so you have a chance of fighting him through there, as well as an easy enough one to get a group together and go fight. The Spiritpath will drop with 29 dexterity. Shirking nature, dodging through an enemy attack causes your next hit within 6 seconds to deal an additional 38% base weapon damage as nature. Refreshing evasion reduces active cooldowns by 0.73% after exiting the dodge animation, as well as a Lost Bane, plus 14% damage to Lost, making this a decent pickup to take to a Lost Dungeon or Lost enemies that you have to take on. Shouldn't be too difficult to get as a drop either. And now normally I like to put some luck weapons at the end of these and give you an option for that as well. But this time I do not have an option to do so because there are no luck weapons for Greatswords right now, which means it may not be the best for farming certain drops or looking for certain items in chests. But there are a lot of options for good swords in combat and to keep you alive while you run around solo throughout the game. But these are the picks that I have made for best drops and crafted Greatswords in New World. If you have one that I missed that you think should be on the list, that you utilize all the time and love, make sure to drop it in the comments and let us know about it. But if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel, I would truly appreciate it, as well as drop some comments if any of these helped you out. If I missed anything, like I said, please drop it down below. I'd love to know about it, and we'll have more videos out soon. I hope to see you there.